The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
By tomorrow, I will rule the world!
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone!
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
Well, I must have not been paying attention when you were just talking to me. Do you think that you could repeat the question?
So slow.
And I listened more attentively. There must have been something in all of that nothing that wasn't quite so easy to see. And I must have missed something when you were just talking to me. I must have not been paying attention when you were busy slamming the door. I guess the things that pass for affection ain't the same as they were before. There must have been
I am in no condition to do Baba Buzz today. Just tell you, I'm going to try, but have no hope at all.
something when you were just slamming the door. Oh, I don't mind just a little. It's driving me out of my mind. Oh, could you spare me the riddle and hand me a bottle or something that's hollow I can climb inside? It's a lifetime movie of the week starring you and I.
2 out of 4 isn't bad after the week I've had. All right, let's get this show on the road, shall we?
Alrighty.
Hi, how you guys doing? My name's Tom Duggan here with the Paying Attention Podcast. Hi, top 2 guys smoke shop at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. And if you can hear my voice, you know that it's not doing well. Most of my Bash committee members after the Bash got to go home and relax, and they did a lot of great work, and we're going to be thanking them all today. But I didn't get to do that. We had the after party at the hotel, and then when we left the hotel at, I don't know what time it was, 1 o'clock the next afternoon, went right back to the office, started posting photos and videos, and then I had to start working on the Valley Patriot, which is out today. So I think my drivers will be at the warehouse today starting to do deliveries, so by tomorrow most of them should be on the streets. Wow. Just wow. What an incredible night. My friend Kevin Druin is on my Bash committee, said back in January, this is going to be the most epic Bash ever, and I told him he was full of shit. I said last year we did $33,000. There's no way we're ever going to beat that. That was our most incredible total ever. But that was because, like, after COVID, my thought was, like, people were so sick of being home. We were literally the first big event after everything opened up after COVID. And I was like, look, we did this well because of COVID, because people were stuck. Could you just pull me up just a little?
Sure.
People were just stuck at home for 2 years, and they just wanted to get out and do something. We're never going to beat this. So he bet me dinner at Sevmar's Mediterranean Bistro in Salem, Jocelyn Maroon's new place, with her partner Kelvin. And he won the bet. I mean, holy crap, what an incredible night it was. Let's go over the scholarships, shall we? Let me pull mine up so I can see, because I can't really see that over there. Where the hell is it? I just had it. Well, I know it's on Facebook, so we'll just go there for the information. And, of course, I'm on the wrong page, right? Because I'm just an idiot at this point. Here we go. Here's our final totals for the night, for the year. And, by the way, this total has an additional, I think, $200 in it that we didn't count for in the room, because we had, one person came over and gave us cash in the room that wasn't added to the total. And then after it was over, we got an additional $100 donation for the Lawrence High Junior ROTC scholarship winner, Gerald Morales. So, wow. Before we even go through this, look at that bottom line number. Our total for scholarships this year, $53,445. Now, yesterday when I was at my office doing paper stuff, I was on Facebook. You know how like your memories come up in your timeline from like today in history?
Yeah.
It came up with, and I just pulled it up here, it came up with 5 years ago's bash. So this would have been, let's see, does it have a date on it? No, of course not. So 5 years ago, which would have been 2018. Yep, April 4th, 2018's bash. It was our highest bash ever at that point. It was $10,500, and we thought that was $1 million. We thought, like, holy shit, we raised $10,000 for local kids going to college. We just thought that was outrageous. Last year we did $33,000, and this year we're at $53,000. Let me get the right number. $445. Just incredible. Let's go through the numbers from the bottom up. The Greater Lawrence Surprise Scholarship. So we had 2 scholarships that we didn't talk about. We had 7 scholarships on the scholarship program, but we had 2 scholarships that were surprises. This one went to Shaylin Marmel, Jackie Marmel's daughter. Jackie got her application in late, and I promised her last year at the end of the bash because she raised so much money for us last year. She came over and she said, my daughter graduates from the Voc next year. Can she be on the scholarship program? I said, Jackie, absolutely. And then I forgot. And when the scholarship applications came in, I didn't see her name, so it didn't jar in my head. And we released the names, and Jackie showed up at my office later on and said, what happened? And instantly I remembered, and I went, shit, now what do we do? I already picked the kid and named her on Facebook. I can't take it away from her. So we made some phone calls to some friends and said, look, Jackie Marmel does a lot for us. Her daughter's a good kid. We actually called the Voc. We talked to some people there that know her. She's not a troublemaker because, Jackie can kind of be a troublemaker, right? Jackie, if you know Jackie Marmel, there are times we love her to death. She's our friend. But there are times when she can be a pain in the ass, and we say that with love. So I wanted to make sure, and I called the school. A couple of other people called the school. We found out, Shaylin's a good kid because I didn't really know her. I know her older daughters, but I didn't really know Shaylin. So we made some phone calls. We got her $2,300. Which isn't a lot when you look at the other totals, but it's $2,300. And throughout the year, we're going to try and see if we can't maybe get her a little bit more if we can. The next scholarship, we're going to show you a picture of this later in a few minutes. So I got a phone call from Carrie Weiland, who runs House of Mercy, and she helps the homeless. And she also runs Isaiah 58 here in Salem, New Hampshire, which also helps the homeless only in New Hampshire. But she's also on the board. She's like me. She does 20 things, right? So she's also on the board of the Franz Acres Association. And she donated $5,000 for the scholarship. This is 25, but it was 5. And so she came she called me and she said, but it's got to go to somebody from New Hampshire. I said, great. Because Mr. Lowe, who owns Jasmine Computer Service right here in 28 in Salem, New Hampshire, he's my computer guy. That's how I met him. Does great work, by the way. If you need computer work done, his sons go to MIT. So if he can't fix it, he gives it to his kids. His kid brings it into school, and they have all those multi-billion-dollar MIT hardware equipment there, and they can get your data. Dave LaCroix came to me one day and said, I saw you on Facebook. You can't get your data off your hard drive, that it crashed. I've got a guy. And I said, Dave, everybody's got a guy. And I've been to everybody's guy, and nobody can get the data off my hard drive. And I mean nobody. I've got a friend who's retired from the federal government. He worked law enforcement for the federal government. I'm not going to say which agency. But his job was to, take hard drives that were like evidence that was destroyed and try and reconstruct the hard drive to get the evidence that they needed against whoever the perpetrator was, like child porn or whatever. And I gave it to him, and he couldn't fucking get anything off this computer hard drive. And he said, trust me, bring it to Mr. Lowe. I guarantee you he'll be able to get at least some of what's on your hard drive off. So I took the leap. I went up to Jasmine. I introduced myself to Mr. and Mrs. Lowe and their sons, told them my problem. He said, it's probably going to take a few days, but I'm going to call you in a couple of hours and let you know if we can get something. So I was with my girlfriend at the time. We left Jasmine's. We went to the 99 right here on 28 for lunch. And before we were done our lunch, my phone rings, and Mr. Lowe says, Mr. Dugan. I said, yes, Mr. Lowe. He says, we have all your data. You come get now. I said, are you kidding me? He said, no, we have all your data. All your data is here. We went in, he had 96 or 97% of our data. And he gave me back my hard drive, and everything was there. It was incredible. And then we find out that he's a Gold Star father. That his son, Edmund Lowe, was the first, and I keep saying Afghanistan, I apologize, Mr. Lowe. He was the first American soldier to die in Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom. So think about this. Edmund Lowe was the first troop from Salem, New Hampshire. He was the first troop to die in Iraq. And I can't remember her name, Pichardo, U.S. Army, I don't know what her rank is, so I'm not going to guess. But her name was Pichardo, from Lawrence, was the last American troop to die in Afghanistan. So right here in the Merrimack Valley, we have the first and the last. And so she came and she presented a check to Mr. Lowe, because he comes every year with his family, and his wife died last year. She wasn't with us. That was kind of heartbreaking. Rosa passed away from COVID. And Mr. Lowe said he was coming again this year. So I said to Carrie, they do the Edmund Lowe Scholarship in Salem, New Hampshire for a Salem high school student. And if you want to give to a Salem scholarship, this is the scholarship to do it. And he has no idea, because he just comes to the bash every year for us. He comes for us. So we called him up, and the ROTC kids from Lawrence High School were in the room. And when they heard, they had already come in, marched in. We did a presentation in front of them, and then they left. And then when they heard that we were doing something for a Gold Star father, while we were doing the check presentation, they marched back in and they saluted Mr. Lowe, because Edmund Lowe, his son, was the commander of his junior ROTC in Salem, New Hampshire. And everybody broke down crying. It was a really incredible moment. And he was so grateful, because he didn't come for that. He came for us. And it was just so nice to be able to give him that. We had the Michelle DeLuca Benedetti Scholarship, was at $5,335 for Liam Robertson. He's going into policing. And worked into that scholarship was also the Dan Strange Memorial Scholarship from the New England Police Benevolent Association for $1,000. Really nice to see Ken DeLuca there, Michelle DeLuca Benedetti's brother, who started this scholarship. He actually brought a couple of family members, and he said, if you hand me a microphone, I'll punch you in the face. So we didn't ask him to speak, because he doesn't like speaking publicly. I did not know that until he threatened me in a nice way. Our Whittier Scholarship, this kid was such a nice kid. Arturo Zuniga. I don't think his English was that good. Maybe I'm wrong about that, because he didn't speak very much. I went over and I kind of chatted with him afterwards. He was just so grateful, and I apologized to him, and I said, listen, I wish it could be more. I know you see some of the other kids have a lot more money. And he said, no, just thank you. Just thank you. This helps, he said. Just a really, really grateful kid. He's going into plant management at Fitchburg State, and we want to wish him well. The Methuen High Studio 21 Podcast Cafe Scholarship, thanks to Dave Garofalo, who I think I spelled his name wrong in the program. I'm sorry, Dave. Garofalo is spelled like 9 different ways, depending on which part of Italy you come from. So I apologize for that, but I think we got it right in the paper today. I'm pretty sure I fixed it. $5,475. I didn't get a chance to go over and say hi to James. I'm going to try and track him down in the next couple of days, maybe take him out for coffee and just kind of chat with him. I like to get to know our scholarship kids, because throughout the years, after we give these scholarships out, we always get letters and emails from our kids letting us know how they did in school. And then when they graduate and they get a job, we had a couple of kids call me and say, hey, I got a scholarship from you 8 years ago, and because of the degree that I got this really great job, and just kind of keeping in touch with us and letting us know how they're doing. So I definitely want to meet James. I think he's the only one that I didn't get to meet. The Special Needs Scholarship, $5,700. We're going to spend a couple seconds on this. We have a rule at the Valley Patriot, and I'm sorry to say that we have this rule, but we have to have this rule. The rule is you have to be in the room to get the scholarship. In 19 years, we've never had a student not show up. This year we did. Our special needs scholarship winner, Vanessa De La Cruz Sanchez, did not show up. And we still now, almost a week later, 6 days later, don't have an answer from anybody at Lawrence High School as to why. So I did communicate with Timmy Finn this morning, who chose this scholarship winner. He assured me that she knew. He assured me she would be there. And what I said to him is this: find out why she didn't come. Don't tell her she needs an extenuating circumstance. But if there isn't, like if her mom got rushed to the hospital, we go to the Lawrence High Alumni Banquet Dinner anyway. We will present the check to her there. But if there isn't an extenuating circumstance, if her mom wasn't rushed to the hospital, if she wasn't having seizures, if there wasn't some really good reason for her not to be there, then we're going to take that $5,700. We're going to roll it over into next year's special needs scholarship. And I hate to do that. We've never done it before. We've never had to do it before. But we have the rule for one reason. Because as you're going to find out when we show a video in a couple seconds, a lot happens in the room. And we want kids to be in the room because otherwise word spreads that you don't have to be there, and then kids stay home and think we're going to mail them a check. And the whole point of this bash is to get everybody in the room together and to network with people, because these scholarship kids were meeting senators, they were meeting state representatives. The ROTC girl, one of the greatest pictures of the night, I posted it yesterday. Francisco Urena is a hero Purple Heart Marine who was the the Secretary of Veterans Services for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, one of our highest decorated people that we ever have in the room. And we've got a picture of him shaking hands with our junior ROTC scholarship winner. So we have a hero meeting a future hero, because she's going to serve her country after the bash, right? She's going into the military. And so there's a lot of networking that gets done, and these kids benefit from it, believe me when I tell you. So we have to have this rule, otherwise kids will stay home and think we're going to mail them the check, and that's not what this is about. So we are going to give her a shot to find out if there was an extenuating circumstance, as I hope there was, because I really want to give her this scholarship. But if not, if she just didn't come, maybe she had anxiety or she slept or whatever the reason was, if it's not extenuating, we're going to roll that number into next year, which means next year we start off with $5,700, which is next year's our 20th anniversary. The Greater Lawrence Tech Scholarship, boy, I had so much fun with her parents. Ariel Cavaretta, she was just so adorable. She reminds me of my daughter. She was just so adorable. And every time I looked over to her table, she was laughing and she was having fun and she was meeting important people. And I know Jessica Finicaro got there a little bit late, but I saw her go over and hug Ariel and hug her parents. And they were just so grateful. She got $6,125, and I worked really hard to try and get that up to 10, but I could not compete with the Cody people and Kevin Druin with the Lawrence High people. They had teams of people working the phone, and I'm not kidding. They had teams of people the last week working the phones, calling people and just asking for a $5, $10, $20 donation to get their scholarships up. And Ariel had me. And, I did the best I could, Ariel, I'm sorry. But we got you up to $6,125. And I got to tell you, when I went to talk to the parents, I'm like, listen, I'm sorry it wasn't more. And they were like, no, this is incredible. When we first got contacted, we thought maybe 500, maybe 1,000. This is great. Thank you so much. So I want to thank them. Now, here's what happened. Now we're down to the last two. I'm going to play a video in a second of this. We had a competition. If you followed us on Facebook, we had a competition going on between the Cody people and the Lawrence High people, as I just said. And they did have teams. Nicole Cameron had a fundraiser at Tavern on the Merrimack where she raised like $805 in one night for the scholarship. And we also had the Clan McPherson band, the guys with the bagpipes on St. Patrick's Day, and they would just randomly show up at like the Clatter, and they'd go in and they'd play for a half an hour. People would throw money in the bucket to donate to them, and then they'd leave and they'd go to the Irish Cottage and do the same thing. And then they leave there and they go to Jay Bryan's and do the same thing. And then they leave there and go to the Relief Inn and do the same thing. They raised us they called us and they said, we want to give all the money that we raised on St. Patrick's Day for the Dan Cody Scholarship, $2,300. So there's no competing with that. I mean, if you're any of the other kids in this scholarship program, there's just no competing with that. But a funny thing happened. In the room, we wrote a check for $9,465 for the Lawrence High kid. And right before we presented her scholarship, the Cody scholarship was presented at an even $10,000. That's the most money we've ever raised for a single student ever. And after we gave the big check, the dry erase check, and they went and they took pictures, and then we called up Jerilys Morales for our Lawrence High scholarship. And her number was $9,465. And again, this is and you're going to see this video and you're going to understand exactly what I mean when I say this is why the kid has to be in the room. Is that ready, Chrissy? Here's what happened. This is after we presented the check for $9,465, and I'm in the process of saying, okay, that's it. That's the last scholarship. And now we're going to move on to the awards. We had the police and the fire awards to come up next. And I said, you guys can go in the back room and take some pictures. And then something wonderful happened.
New Lawrence City Councilor Rich Russell just gave us $35 to round that up to $9,500. And if you guys want to do some extra pictures in the back, you can. That's our last scholarship, right? Is that the last one? Oh, no, what's up, Randy Carter from the John Bracken Memorial Scholarship? Say a few words.
Just one thing, that's not fair, so we're going to make that an even $10,000.
But wait, there's more. Can you pull this up now, a volume for them?
Sonia, you got to add that to the total. $35 for Rich Russell. That made it 5? And then another $500 from the John Radka Memorial Scholarship. So we're gonna need a new total.
I have just recently become the president of the Lawrence High School Alumni Association. And Jonathan, one of our board members here, has suggested that we donate another $500 to kick it up to $10,500.
Oh! You hear that, Nicole Cameron? They beat you. They beat you at the last minute.
Wow.
Those bastards. Wow. Who's got the pen?
So now I'm gonna change the dry erase check for the pictures for the paper. Holy crap!
We had $500 from the John Radka Memorial Scholarship, and then $500 from Lawrence High Alumni Association. So let's just do this to make sure that the pictures are right when we put them in the newspaper, right? And it's gonna be 10,000. $500. Wow.
Unbelievable. I was moved to tears watching that, and I was in the room when it happened. That was so. But this is why I say the kid has to be in the room, because stuff like that happens when you have the kid in the room and people with money see you as a student and hear your bio as to how hard you worked in school, how hard one of the kids donated her time, and I can't remember which one it was. I'm sorry. One of them donated their time at the MSPCA, helping with dog rescues and stuff like that. And when the donors in this room, and believe me, there's a lot of rich people in this room. All right. When they hear the bios, when they see the kid, when they meet the kid at the bar or at the food line, it sometimes generates what you just saw. And that's the magic of the bash. That's why I tell people you need to be in the room. And not just the scholarship people, the donors. I always tell the donors, listen, I appreciate that you gave us $1,000, but if I have to give you 2 free tickets to get you in the room, you need to be there. And this is why. Because our network, and this is something that Neil Perry never understood. He never understood it. And I don't want to turn this into a negative thing, but I think it's a great learning moment. He never understood the Valley Patriot's not Tom Duggan. The Valley Patriot is the donors, the advertisers, the readers, the network of people that we put together. So when you attack the Valley Patriot, you're attacking everyone. You're attacking all the people in that room, all of our readers, all of our delivery people, all of our donors, all of our advertisers, because we work together. Not just at the bash. Throughout the year, Randy Carter and I work on things for homeless veterans. In fact, this morning, I called Randy Carter at 10 o'clock last night from TMF. A veteran came over to me and said, I'm a homeless veteran, and somebody over at the food table said I need to talk to you. I called Randy right there on the spot. He was in bed, and he was in Vermont. And I told him what happened. I let him talk to the guy. We questioned him a little bit to make sure he's really a veteran, because, sometimes people say that, and they're not veterans. Turns out he's a veteran. He got in his car at 11 o'clock last night and drove back down here and met me this morning with 2 people from Clear Path for Veterans New England. And we got this guy, Jeff, into a car, drove him to Bedford. And 5 minutes before I went on the air, they called me to tell me how he was doing. So I think my point is the Valley Patriot's not one guy. And I know a lot of people in politics, they're stuck in their bubble because all they can see is politics, all they can see is the political world. We're outside of that. Our bubble is much bigger. And I encourage people like Neil, people who have shunned us in the past, put aside your personal bullshit, put aside your political bullshit, and come be part of our network because we're doing good things. And if they come, we had a couple people in the room that I was not happy with there Friday night, I'm going to be honest with you. And there was one guy, I looked over and I saw him and I said, wow, that guy's got a lot of balls for being here. But then I counted to 10 and I thanked him at the microphone for being here and said, he's here and he's not really a friend of mine and it takes a lot of balls to be in this room. And I want to thank him for being one of the grown-ups in the community for doing exactly that. So this bash is not just scholarships. It's not just, hooray, we made it another year, although every year I'm surprised we made it another year because, quite frankly, I struggle to pay our lighting bill. I struggle to pay the rent at the Valley Patriot office. We do okay, but we struggle because the newspaper industry is failing, and we're trying to keep above that. $10,500 for Jerolis Morales, and then after the event, we got another $100 donation. And about like 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody donated $100. So her total is $10,600. Absolutely incredible. Last year, we had our highest ever, and it was Dan Cody's son, and it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $7,300. I don't have the exact amount in front of me. But we do have the side-by-side of what we did last year versus what we do this year. And holy crap, would you look at that, right? Our highest amount last night, okay, now we do have it in front. I was close, right? I said 7,390. I have these in reverse order, unfortunately, because I'm not that bright. But look at that. Like our second highest was 4,800. And by the way, we were thrilled with that. We thought that was we really did. Just like 5 years ago when we raised 10, we were like, wow, last year we raised 5. We doubled what we did. This is great. Next year's our 20th anniversary. I'm afraid to hope. I'm afraid to hope that we could beat $53,000 next year. Holy crap. And by the way, we got to thank a lot of people, but Carrie Weiland, who gave us a total of $5,000, I think it was $5,500. Joey Veal gave us $1,000. Royal House of Roast Beef, where I'm going right after the podcast today. Royal House of Roast Beef in Drake, they have their grand opening today. They gave us $1,000. Jerry Flynn at the New England PBA gave us $1,000. The John Radke Memorial Scholarship, he started at $1,000. I think he ended up with $1,500 or $2,000 by the time he was done. But look at these side-by-side totals. Do we hope for next year? Do we hope that this continues to go up at the rate that it's going up? I mean, it's incredible. I do want to give a free shout-out. I had a meeting last night, as tired as I am. I got a call last minute on my way to TMF by my friend Joey Zingales, who has rejoined us after a 5-year hiatus, and we're certainly glad to have him back. He works on the board of Top Notch Scholars with Jenny Alvarez. And they do 100% of what they get also goes to scholarship kids. So I have a rule. It's a personal rule. I don't help any nonprofit unless 100% goes where it's supposed to go. And if it's 98%, like Tunnels to Towers does like 98 or 99%, to me that's the same as 100. But it's got to be as close to 100 as you can, or I don't help you, all right? Because there's plenty of other nonprofits that will give 100%, and those are the ones I want to work with. So I sat down with them. We're going to be partnering with them to help them, now that my bash is over, to help them get some money because their scholarship program is in another couple of months. And I just want to tell you guys something really incredible that I learned about them last night. Then we're going to show you some pictures. So one of they don't just give scholarships. They have programs for kids. It's kind of like, what is that? What is that high school club where the kids like do business stuff? They start their own businesses. There's a word for it, and I can't remember what it is. But they have marketing programs to teach kids how to like deal with people in the business world. And one of the things they're doing is they're making bottled water. And top-notch scholars, and by the way, the purity of the water is higher than any of the stuff you get in the stores. So I can't remember like Poland Springs and all that. If you look on the back, the purity of the water is, and 100% of what they make on the bottled water goes into their scholarship program. And I believe that they're now the exclusive water of a couple of restaurants in Lawrence, and they're trying to expand that. So we're going to be helping with them with that over the next couple of months. All right, let's get to some pictures because this is going to be fun. So here's a picture of Mr. Lowe, as I told you. That's him with Carrie Weiland, who's just so incredibly beautiful. I just love her so much. Not just physically beautiful, but just such a beautiful person. With Mr. Lowe, he's a little bit choked up, getting the scholarship in his son's name. And then we're going to go, I think it's in June, we're going to go to the spaghetti dinner that they have every year, and then they bring the scholarship kids out, and you actually get to meet them, so that's really kind of fun. Here is, wow, I am really feeling it. I'm going to get so much sleep this weekend. Here is Arturo Zuniga, such a nice kid. He's there with Alvalu on the left. And we really should just call this the Alvalu Scholarship because overall he's given us almost like $4,000 this year. Like he started off giving us like $2,800 or something like that. And then as we were calling for scholarship donations online, he kept kicking in, and then he called his parents, and his parents kicked in, and his girlfriend Tara also kicked in. So he got like all his friends at work kicking in. So we really appreciate that. And the guy handing Arturo the certificate is Haverhill City Councilor Joe Bevilacqua. Now, I use something for Joe. I love Joe, but I got to give him some tough love here for a second. So I introduced him in the room. I was going to introduce him in the room as Haverhill City Councilor Joe Bevilacqua. But I thought being my friend was way more important than that. So I said, I want to introduce my friend because we kind of started off not liking each other because I was mean to him. It wasn't his fault. I was mean to him, and I shouldn't have been. And I went and I apologized to him afterwards. But I wanted everyone to know that he was my friend because I had said things. Sometimes when you savage somebody and then you apologize afterwards, the people who heard the savagery didn't hear the apology. So I wanted to make sure everybody in the room knew that this guy was my friend. So I said, and I want to introduce my friend Joe Bevilacqua. And he comes up, he goes, I'm a Haverhill City Councilor, you know. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. That's not more important than being my friend. Hold on a minute. Being my friend is way more important than being a city councilor. So I just wanted to break his chops a little bit. I was so happy that he was there. He does a lot of work in the community to help local businesses, and they have their own scholarship program. So we want to help. We want to thank him. Next picture is Liam Robertson. He's another kid that I didn't get a chance to chat with, but I did chat with his parents a little bit. Very grateful people, and I'm trying to make room on my Facebook page for his mom because I know she's been following me and liking stuff. So I'll find somebody on my Facebook page that's disabled their account, and we'll get rid of them, and we'll put her on. I can't see the number, but we already gave it out. Standing next to him, by the way, to the left, if you're looking at the picture, that's Tom DeLacy and Lisa Williams from AFC Urgent Care, who gave us $2,000 this year, and was nice enough to come sit up on stage with us and brought her daughter Frankie to sit up on stage with us, who, by the way, I didn't. She came and sat with us for a little while, and then she disappeared. I think she was just kind of working the room, and there's a lot of important people in that room, a lot of important people. We had the mayor of Lawrence, we had Senator Payano, we had our Purple Heart Marine, we had at least 5 state senators, we had 5 tables of Methuen police officers, 3 tables of Lawrence firefighters. So, to the right of Liam, I'm sorry, I just looked at I got thrown because I saw the time, so we're gonna breeze through this. To the right is Ken DeLuca, Michelle DeLuca, Benedetti's brother, who started this scholarship. Thank you, Ken. And our friend Lenny Mira, who's, by the way, getting the First Amendment Award next year for blowing the lid off of the Democrats stealing a state rep seat up in Georgetown. Next picture, I'm not going to name everybody because there's too many people in the picture. This one should be James Sugden, but I just can't see it. Is that him? Yes. And I love this picture because all I hear from certain politicians in Methuen is how Duggan's got no credibility in Methuen. None of the officials talk to him. None of the officials like him. So when by the way, I didn't take any of these pictures. We hired Angel Garcia to do it. Who gave us his services for free. I look at this picture. You've got 3 city councilors from Methuen. Jessica was a little late on this, but she would have been in the picture. We have a Methuen school committee, 2 Methuen school committee members, because Jane is in the background and she's on the school committee. We've got Frank Cirillo, who's the Methuen representative on the Greater Lawrence Tech Committee. We've got all 3 Methuen state representatives and the Methuen state senator in this photo. So for those of you who like to trash us behind our back at the Valley Patriot and say he's got no credibility in Methuen, didn't look like it Friday night. Did not look like it Friday night. And James, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to meet with you Friday. It was a really crazy night. I mean, you saw the video that we showed you, and that was just 3 minutes of the entire night. The whole night went like that. It was nuts. So congratulations to James. And then we've got Ariel, who, by the way, is also from Methuen. So everything I said about Methuen is going to translate to this photo. You get all these Methuen people here, including our state auditor, Diana DeZoglio, who brought a citation for every award winner and went over to every award winner and presented them with a citation, as did Estella Reyes. And every scholarship winner went over and gave each scholarship winner a citation. And you know what? She didn't have to do that, and neither did Estella Reyes, and neither did Francisco Polino. These are people who have been very good friends of mine for a long time, and not just in the political world, but in the real world. So we want to thank them. This Ariel with her parents, they're just so grateful. And I can't see who else is there on the far right. I think that's Stephanie Infante, but I can't see it. Actually, I should probably be looking on my monitor, but then I'm not looking into the camera. And so here is Jackie Marmol, who's third from the left. She's crying, which is always great. It's always great to see Jackie humbled because she's, like we said, she's a little bit of a firecracker with her daughter Shaylin in the middle. And the woman that I love the most in the world is Estella Reyes on the other side of that check with Francisco Polino, Senator Payano, Mass State Auditor Diana DeZoglio. I think that's Stephanie Infante on the far left, and Frank Cirillo, chairman of the Greater Lawrence Tech School Committee, who not only comes but gives us money as well as Stephanie and everybody else in that picture, which is great. Here is Cam Ryland, who we thought was going to be the star of the show Friday night before the Lawrence people just totally decimated that amount. And he's here with, so to his left in that photo is Nicole Cameron, Dan Cody's sister. And to her left, and I'm sorry I don't remember his name. I'm so sorry I don't remember his name. But to her left is Dan Cody's youngest son, who when he graduates from high school, God willing, there's still a Valley Patriot, he's going to get this scholarship. His brother got it last year for $7,300. I can't even imagine what the total is going to be by the time he gets through high school. I mean, if this keeps going, that's going to be an incredible scholarship. And then to the, could you just go back one more second? So to the right of, to the right of Cam is his parents. And then would you look at that? Who's standing next to me in that photo? Do we have a superintendent of schools of a public school system in the room at the Valley Patriot Bash? Given how much I trash the public school teachers, the public school administrators, and the public school hierarchy on a general basis, we had a superintendent in the room? Are you kidding me? The minute I looked up and saw him, I was floored. I was like, holy shit, Greg Gilligan from North Andover, the North Andover superintendent of schools, is in the room. We've got to give him a microphone. We need proof that he was there. We need photos. We need video to make sure people know that he was there. Can you imagine being a superintendent of schools after everything I've said about the public schools, saying, you know what, I'm going to put that aside and come to Tommy Duggan's Bash anyway because we've got a North Andover kid in the program? God bless you, Greg Gilligan, because you showed what a lot of other people are not willing to do. You showed that you're one of the grown-ups in the community. I'm going to keep saying that because there's too many people who are the children in the community, in the political world, and in the education world, and you are not one of those, my friend, so thank you. And here's the big check. Here's the final one. Lawrence High Junior ROTC scholarship winner, Jeralise Morales, and that is really small, but I think I can see Santiago Reyes Cruz Jr., who from now on, by the way, I'm just calling him Santiago Cruz. I mean, these people with four names, it just makes things very difficult for those of us in the media. He's there with Pat Mariano, who is also on the Lawrence School Committee and the Lawrence High Alumni Board. And then I can't see who's that. Oh, Jonathan Guzman, who's on the Lawrence School Committee and on the Lawrence High Alumni Board with Jeralise and her parents, who were just so happy. They were so happy. They were like the last people. We were cleaning up the tables, and they were still there, like talking to people and taking pictures. It was great. I've got to thank everybody. I know I've got a minute left. I've got to thank everybody, but I certainly have to thank my bash committee because they did yeoman's work. And there were times when things got contentious. We disagree on things. We disagree on who should go first, who should be in the room, who should be standing with the check. There were fights. There were arguments. Popcorn and French fries get thrown. But at the end of the day, we're still all friends. We still all love each other. And Maria Fiato, Brenda Rossi, Denise Donlin, Kevin Druin, Michael and Nancy Gorman. I know I started and I'm going to forget somebody. Barry Booker. Did I say Brenda Rossi? I did. Jessica Finicaro. All of the people on our bash committee, we had, I think, 12 by the end of this year. They did incredible, incredible work. And the donors, people who donated their services, Salvatore's Restaurant donated the catering for free. Again, every year, Salvatore's Restaurant, the food I hear was amazing. I was eating sushi, so I didn't try it. But everybody said the food was amazing. Copy Labs, Bob Westcott at Copy Labs printed up our programs, a 40-page full-color program for free. Donated his time, and he hand-put them together. So this isn't like he just put it on a machine, ran them off, and brought them to me. He hand-put these things together. He does them himself. Who else gave us? Henry's Jewelry and Awards gave us their cost for the actual physical awards. The Firefighters Relief Fund, the Firefighters Association, they kind of charged us $500 for the room, but then they ran a fundraiser to pay for it. So at the end of the day, the room was free, and that's because of them. And we have a lot of other people to thank, but there's no time left in the show. But the Valley Patriot is being delivered today and tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure I didn't forget anybody. Also, Grocery Girl. Grocery Girl had more fun in that room than anybody that I know. Every time I looked up, she was hugging people. She was happy. She was selling raffle tickets. She was getting people drinks. So thank you to Stephanie, Grocery Girl. And Shower Girl was there. She's in a couple of pictures, but she asked not to be identified as Shower Girl because her son was in the room. So we didn't do that. But otherwise, I mentioned Shower Girl was there, but I didn't say who she was. If you want to ask me privately, I'll point her out to you in the photos. You'll be blown away when you see who it is. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, Dave Garofalo, everybody who helped us start the scholarships, everybody who helped us choose a student, Andrew McDevitt in North Andover, Scott Wood in Haverhill and Whittier, Timothy Finn in Lawrence, Brenda Rossi in the Commander at Lawrence High, Jana DiNatale at Methuen High School. I think we got everybody. Jessica Finicaro at the Vogue. Thank you to everybody who helped. We now start working on next year's bash. If you have some ideas for next year's bash, give me a couple days to sleep and then call me, because I definitely need some downtime after all this. And when I leave here today, and I didn't think our sponsors, but when I leave, the show sponsors, but when I leave here today, I'm going to Royal House of Roast Beef in Drake for their grand opening of their new shop. We want to thank them for their $1,000 donation. We're going to give them a free ad in the Valley Patriot. Also want to thank our show sponsors, McLennan Real Estate, Century 21, the Zany Pesci Law Office, who contributed, Marcian and Son Construction. Thank you, Ronnie, for coming Friday night. Borelli's Deli. I wish I could get there after the show, but I can't. Tomo and Shaken Seafood. Clear Path for Veterans New England. Mercurio Law Office. AFC Urgent Care. Pleasant Valley Landscaping. He doesn't need any more help, by the way. He said he's got all the help that he needs. And a free shout-out to JG's Ice Cream. I'm positive that I must have forgotten somebody with so many people to thank. But if you pick up this edition of the Valley Patriot, believe me, everyone, we thought of everyone. I don't think we didn't leave any. We didn't even forget Grocery Girl. So we let everybody is in the paper. And I want to thank everybody. Please pick up this Valley Patriot. And by the way, if there's no Valley Patriot, there's no bash. There's no helping the homeless. There's no helping veterans, because that means I got to get a real job. So anybody that's thinking of advertising, we need to keep the lights on too. All the money we raised went to scholarships. So if you know anybody that's got a business, we could certainly use your business so we can keep the lights on at the Valley Patriot and just keep doing what we're doing. I love what I do every day, and it's because of the advertisers, first and foremost, of the Valley Patriot, who help us every single month when there's no bash and help us pay our rent at the office in North Andover. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, everybody. I will see you next week with a show that's not about the bash, finally. And Melvin Taylor says you got to go home. So go home already. Well, first go to Royal House of Roast Beef, then go home.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.